Hi, everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and today we're going to have a little fun. We're taking a look at from the Transformers Adventures line, which is the Japanese version of the new Transformers Robots in Disguise cartoon and toy line. These are, as of right now, two exclusive repaints to that market. First, we have Nemesis Prime, which is a repaint of the Warrior class Optimus Prime. And then we have Gregevor. And yes, you have to say it like that. Gregevor, which is a repaint of the Warrior class Strong Arm figure. Now, I got to get on my soapbox for a minute because I have a little bit of an issue that, well, not with the figures, but let me explain. Hasbro does the Warrior figures. The instructions are printed on the back. And basically, as I've mentioned in previous reviews, they have to fit a certain space because they have all this multilingual writing on it, warnings for the toys, and then warnings and information about the mobile app to scan the codes. Takara prints the instructions inside, and in thus, they are much clearer, much better to understand because they don't rush and combine steps. And in the cases of these two figures, and thus I'm assuming all the other warrior class figures, they even go ahead and show the weapon storage. Where for here on Strong Arm is the post underneath the and the chest when you flip the plate down. Many people just assumed that was going to be a matrix chamber, that Strong Arm was going to become a prime of some sort. And with the Nemesis Prime mold and the Optimus Prime mold, you have the storage here, which I've shown, where you clip the axe in. Now, with other reviews doing the American Robots in Disguise figures, it's basically an adventure trying to discover where the weapon storage is. At least with Takara, they go ahead and show you. And I think that's a bit more important than cutting out steps to fit a predetermined slot of packaging or to fit in a certain, number of steps, quota, or whatever. The other thing that differentiates the packaging of the figures is, as you can see, well, really you can only see it here on Nemesis Prime, but they have a little fake scan code that attaches to a plastic shell, because in robot mode, which these two figures are packaged, um, this would be on the shoulder of the robot. So people can't come in and scan the codes through the packaging. They put that fake code over. Apparently, that's a bit of an issue in Japan. It's an issue here because I've read on forums several times people doing it. Um, but it's a big enough issue that not only do they have those little protective shells, they kindly ask any bloggers and photographers who are filming the toys to use them as not to scan the code. I don't know if it's a situation where in Japan each code is unique per figure and that once it's scanned, you yourself won't be able to use it. That I don't know. But we're going to go into a little bit more detail with each figure, and starting us off will be Gregevor. Gregevor is an interesting figure. This is actually based on the Japanese version of Strong Arm. I'm sorry, the Japanese version of the original RID figure Roll Bar, who was a repaint of G1 Swindle. Now in Japan, that figure was called Gregevor, which was a like little haha joke about the fact that it's a green Jeep, Gregevor. I think green Jeep. So Gregevor, I really don't know what the exact translation is, but I think it's a play off of that. But if you look, a lot of the paint details do match that original figure, which unfortunately don't have. It's actually a really nice truck mode. I will admit that much like the original Warrior class figure, which I don't have, um, it is a panel former, a shell former, and as we get into robot mode, I'll show you an issue with the legs, which kind of makes transformation needlessly fiddly. So we're going to go from this mode. Gregevor in robot mode is basically this. It's the same thing as roll bar. You have the little QR code here that as I mentioned before, would be covered by a shield. Um, and really, I mean, besides the colors, the mold is the mold. There are the issues where you have the arms joined by that central shoulder bit, so that kind of when you want to move the arm, you have to grab it each arm individually because of the ball joint, or just move from that secondary joint there. The colors are nice. I mean, it is made to look like a military vehicle. My one issue, and it really has to do with the hips here. Um, I, it's G2 Laser Prime, the Generations version has it, and I think a few others, where you have this ball jointed hip, but then you have a swivel further down above the knee. Basically, what ends up happening is you want to go and turn the leg, you end up rotating at the hip, and then you will rotate at the knee. And then what ends up happening is the legs end up not evenly lined. Now in robot mode, that's really not a problem, but it's transforming to vehicle mode. In a case like this figure, if the legs aren't lined up exactly, you do have a hard time pegging this whole panel section into place. Like I said, it's basically you have this military camo green. You have like a darker forest green with that lighter tan green, as well as hints of what I would call the blaze or safety orange along the chest here. The weapon is again exactly the same, only this time the molded in blast is done in a deeper wine red. Personally, I was kind of hoping Takara would go that extra step and remold this part of the weapon, so instead of a blast, we'd have like a little saw blade or something. That might be coming down the line for a retool of the strong arm mold, but other than that, that's really about it for this figure. As you can see, the face, is done up in a light purple with a neon pink crest horn there and predominantly black. Um, so yeah, I mean it's basically strong arm in just different colors. Now let's take a look at Nemesis Prime. Nemesis Prime is probably my favorite of the two, just because I really do enjoy this particular mold. The black semi trailer. This actually kind of reminds me of the old Knight Rider show here in the United States. There was a bad version of the car named Car, Karr. Well, Car was able to upload its consciousness into a truck that looked a lot like this. And ironically, on Knight Rider, Car was voiced by Peter Cullen, aka Optimus Prime. Um, you do have some of the classic Scourge black convoy colors here. The metallic teal along the side. Coming along the front here in the windshield, you have that deep, almost blood red. I mean, those are pure nods and callbacks to the original Scourge, Nemesis Prime, Black Convoy color scheme. But yeah, I mean it still rolls quite nicely. Now let's take a look at the robot mode. And here's Nemesis Prime in robot mode. As you can see, you have more of that teal accent coming through, especially here in the chest, along with that blood red now right along the chest again. Those classic Scourge Black Convoy colors. One thing that's not really coming up on the camera that well is the color of this axe blade is actually a very bright neon pink, which I think is kind of cool, and it might be a throwback to the Scourge's sword, even though I remember it being more of a red than pink, but that is very nice, and a nice bright color, and it really does help when in the robot's hand breaks up the black, along with that blue turquoise and what have you. Um, Really is a fantastic figure, and the head here, it's kind of hard to see. Let me clean this up a bit, but you can kind of tell that in the head there is like deep, dark red eyes, which, that just is incredible. I mean, the mold is the mold. I know a lot of people have a problem with the Warrior class Optimus Prime figure due to the covered hands and stuff like that. And personally, I don't mind. Especially, I will freely admit that when you have the axe in the hand, it does lend to certain positions. I mean, you bring the arm up like this, it does start to look kind of odd because this is the front of the truck. So you're starting to think that maybe this should be up. Meanwhile, the hand is here, and it kind of doesn't look right. But you can find some good poses with this figure and really get him in it. Pretty much whenever there's a new Transformers line, you can always count on Takara to do some unique and inventive repaints, as well as doing a black Optimus Prime called Nemesis Prime or Black Convoy. That aside, I think these two right here are perfect examples of those type of unique repaints. Um, Gregevor being a throwback to the original Robots in Disguise cartoon, which was called Car Robots in Japan, and even you can technically say Nemesis Prime is too, since that was really the first time we had that black Nemesis bad Optimus Prime type of character. Um, that was Black Convoy. Yes, there was a black Optimus Prime repaint all the way in G1, but it was Optimus Prime. This was a different character. Like here, that's a bad guy and a villain. Um, I really am for since they're only dubbing the American cartoon. I don't see these characters showing up in animation, which is kind of a shame because I would have liked to have seen how the animators would have worked in these repaints of the existing characters, and really being the mirror opposites of Optimus Prime and Strongarm. But that's just me. So both figures are available now on Big Bad Toy Store, TF Source, Robot Kingdom, various online retailers, and they actually go for a pretty reasonable price when you factor in shipping, as long as you get them domestically. Definitely worth a pickup, especially if you don't have the original molds. If you do, I can really only recommend Nemesis Prime, as I think one strong arm mold is enough. So, with that said, this is your old pal Truck for Gregevor and Nemesis Prime. We will see you next time.